If you want to know what Bitcoin ETFs are and how to buy them, then this video is for you. I'm Darren, and we are going to cover what a Bitcoin ETF is, why you would buy one, what ones are available, and at the end I'm going to give you the cons for a Bitcoin ETF over owning the actual asset in Bitcoin itself. So what's an ETF? Well, it stands for electronically traded fund. This tracks commodities or other assets that can be purchased or sold on the stock exchange. So Bitcoin ETF follows the price of Bitcoin. When you purchase a Bitcoin ETF, they are obligated to purchase that amount in Bitcoin on your behalf. Why would you want a Bitcoin ETF? Even though Bitcoin is electronically traded 365 days a year without anybody's permission? Well, it comes down to tax purposes. Now, these Bitcoin ETFs can be eligible to go under a tax-free savings account or an RRSP here in Canada. So the gains you are going to pay are not eligible to be taxed. If you had Bitcoin, the actual asset yourself, this is counted as a capital gains, and 50% of the profit you make on your gain on a capital gains asset will be taxed. This is not financial advice, and do your research. A lot of these ETFs, and if you trade in and out of these ETFs a lot, are not eligible for specific tax-free savings accounts. So really do your research and understand what one you are purchasing and how your situation may differ. A secondary reason why you might want a Bitcoin ETF is for larger institutions or no-coiners. And these are people who just want to stay with their brokerage account. They want to stay with their RBC, financial advisor, or TD, or they have a Wealthsimple and want to, load their tax-free savings accounts. They could expose themselves to Bitcoin without actually going through the process of learning how to hold Bitcoin and where to buy it. Now, how would you buy a Bitcoin ETF? Like I said, you need to go through a stockbroker. And for the average consumer, I would recommend something like Wealthsimple or Questrade. Now, what Bitcoin ETFs are available here in Canada? Well, I'm going to cover 3 that you can purchase today. There's a couple more out there, but these are kind of the biggest 3. So the first one is called Purpose Bitcoin, and their ticker is BTCC. Their fees are 1%. So this is the management fee it costs to purchase the Bitcoin ETF. They currently hold 22,000 Bitcoin under their control. This is the world's first Bitcoin ETF, and it was opened here in Canada on the Toronto Stock Exchange. They have their cold storage with Gemini. This is the Winklevoss twins crypto company. All of the Bitcoin you are going to be purchasing will be held by the company Gemini. Now, their net asset value compared to Bitcoin to date, currently BTCC, which is their ticker symbol, is up 87%, where the actual Bitcoin value is up 88%, and this is because of management fees. The second one is called the Bitcoin Fund, or QBTC, and this is actually the oldest player in the game. They had a fund where you could purchase the Bitcoin's price. It wasn't officially an electronically traded fund until recently. Their management fees are 1.95%. They have 11,000 Bitcoin in their possession, and since their inception, they've gone up 380%. The second one you can purchase is called Evolve. This one has the lowest management fees. This is quite new. Their ticker is EBIT, and they hold about 2,000 Bitcoin, and their management fees are 0.75%, so that's the cheapest management fee you can get. So let's take a step back and zoom out. Why are these Bitcoin ETFs up 300%, up 80% a year, up 20% a month? Well, it's not because a bunch of stock investors are speculating on the price of Bitcoin, just pumping money into ETFs. It is because of the actual asset in Bitcoin itself that is driving the price up. Bitcoin today has close to $1 trillion invested in it. It is one of the top assets in the world. And why is that? Well, it's because of the decentralization of it. It's hard properties, which means it helps hedge people against inflation and monetary printing that we see today. It truly is a global monetary network that is not owned by anyone and is permissionless, and you can use it anytime, anywhere, no questions asked. I'm against Bitcoin ETFs. I think holding Bitcoin itself is far more superior, and here's 8 negatives to holding a Bitcoin ETF. So number 1 are the fees. So a Bitcoin ETF costs anywhere from 1 to 2% in management fees. And this is on top of your brokerage fee. This is on top of your currency conversion fee. When you purchase Bitcoin, yes, there are exchanges that take fees, but they'll actually be less when you compare it to purchasing a Bitcoin ETF if you choose the proper Bitcoin exchange. Number two follows kind of right behind it. You can only sell your Bitcoin ETF with that broker. So whatever brokerage you're using, you can only sell through them. Think of the Robinhood GameStop fiasco. GameStop's price pumped like crazy, and Robinhood said, nope, no more buying, no more selling, and cut it off. Maybe this because of liquidity, maybe somebody phoned in. Either way, you weren't able to get your money out when it was peaking. So think if this happened with Bitcoin, if it hit $10,000 or if it hit $100,000, you weren't able to sell it. You weren't able to buy more in an instant because, your brokerage just didn't have the liquidity that day to do it. 3, you have to sell it back to that specific currency you bought it in. So whatever your brokerage is, they only offer those currencies you can sell it back in. I could literally go across seas with $10,000 of Bitcoin in my pocket and transfer that to euros, transfer that to pesos. So it gives me more options of what I can trade it into. You can only buy or sell Bitcoin ETFs on the weekends. Bitcoin is 365 days a year, 24/7. Imagine a big event happens on a Saturday, like we're talking about, goes up to $100,000, goes down to $10,000. Elon Musk says, we're going to only take Bitcoin. You have to wait till 9:30 a.m. Monday morning to sell or buy a position. And by then the market could have pumped up, pumped down, and you missed out. Number 5 is collateral. At least today, I don't know a way that you could use your Bitcoin ETF as collateral. Bitcoin itself is such a hard asset and people are willing to lend you money for it. So a good example of this is I know family and friends who have specific businesses where they're very successful, but because of their past history or business failures, they are not allowed to get any more loans. If they held Bitcoin, this is advantageous to them because now they can get a loan. It's a very easy asset to use for that. 6, Bitcoin ETFs can severely trade under or over market prices. There's a chart that shows on a daily basis where a Bitcoin ETF trades versus the actual market price. And you could get caught on the wrong side of that. But if you hold Bitcoin itself, there's actually a street value of Bitcoin where you can sell above market price. People are willing to give you anywhere from 8 to 20% to pay cash for it. So you're missing out on ways to sell it for more money than just the brokerage price that day. 7 kind of follows right along with that. You are fully KYC'd when you hold a Bitcoin ETF. And what does that mean? It's called Know Your Customer. So when you sign up for a brokerage, you're going to need to give all of your information. They will know when you bought it, how much you've made, how much you currently have, how much tax-free you've got on it. And they give all that information to the government because you've registered for probably most likely a tax-free savings account. When Bitcoin is done right, it can be completely private. So your financial privacy is still intact. And number 8 is you don't actually have a vote when it comes to Bitcoin if you don't hold it yourself. When you hold a Bitcoin ETF, somebody else is actually holding Bitcoin on your behalf. Well, when you hold Bitcoin, you have the opportunity to run a node, and this is you choose the rules of what Bitcoin you want to see. So today there's a consensus on the longest chain is the best chain, and everybody agrees that that chain is Bitcoin and nothing else. There have been forks in the past where people decided to split the chain off. This happened with Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, where they wanted to say make it faster, make the hash rate less, where they disagreed on the specific properties of it. Today, those coins are worth $200, and the actual main chain is worth $53,000. When you give your money up to Purpose Bitcoin, they give it up to Gemini, and Gemini has the final say of what node they want to run. Maybe they have financial pressure from the government to say, hey, you guys got to run a green coin that is more sustainable. So they decide to fork the current Bitcoin chain into only adding blocks of green Bitcoin. Then in the future, because it's not the longest consensus chain and the rest of the Bitcoiners think that's absolute horseshit, you didn't have the vote on what chain you wanted to be on, and you're stuck with maybe a deteriorating chain over time. So ultimately, you got to ask yourself, have you benefited from this financial money printing system where the last 50 years you have just sat on your assets, gained more money, purchased more assets? Then a Bitcoin ETF is great for you. If you think the financial system hasn't really benefited you, you're struggling to pay rent. You're seeing all the prices rising, but your salary's not rising. Owning a home is becoming quite the pipe dream. Your financial privacy is completely gone. Then owning real Bitcoin might be for you. Don't you think holding and learning how to use actual Bitcoin is worth it for your future? Let me know your counter arguments in the comments. And if you're looking for places to buy real Bitcoin, I have videos on my channel for that, and videos of how to store it properly. Super easy. If you can figure out how to buy a Bitcoin ETF, you can figure out how to buy real Bitcoin and hold it in your possession where you're free to use it anywhere, anytime. Thanks for watching.